The Steelers tied the Lions a few weeks ago, and the Vikings lost to the Lions last week. Now they're going head-to-head on Thursday Night Football. Short week. Big Ben is priced so low that I think DraftKings is just, they want him to retire at this point. He's priced at $9K. Can we avoid him at that price tag? I mean, that is just very, very low for a quarterback. Thanks for joining us, guys. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by Ellie Hernandez. This is the Edge DFS. We're talking Showdown as usual. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We talk a lot about Showdown here, man, right? This is, I don't know, man. I love Showdown. What about you?
Yeah, I'm all about the Showdown, dude. We'll have to start getting some NBA shows going pretty quickly here. One of our subs last night, we were chopping it up in the Discord, and at halftime, I was in third, fourth place, chasing Osimo for first.
There you go.
But didn't quite work out, but I think if we can spend a little bit more time on NBA soon, I think we can make that pretty profitable.
Well,
too.
dude, you've been crushing NBA, and you helped me build. I think I was out working on a houseboat in St. John's River. I was able to get a handful of lineups submitted. You helped me out with some strategy there, and one of those lineups I think got in. I was in first place in the mini max for like 3 hours. And finally, that late night hammer caught up to me, but I think I ended up in eighth place. So you've been crushing NBA, man. So let's, we did an NBA Showdown show a couple weeks ago, but we're gonna start getting into it as football winds down more, of course. But we're focused on football here, man. That last game, I was very close to shipping one. I'm just gonna keep that momentum going, man. Let's do it.
I mean, so let's talk about that last game for a second. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but. Dude, we got a lot of that stuff right, and I don't think it was necessarily groundbreaking. But Damian Harris being the optimal captain, he even got hurt and still ended up being the optimal captain. Yeah. The handcuff is what ended up paying off.
Yep.
Ramondre Stevenson, and then just not playing the defenses and maybe going with what was it? The kicker. It was one of the kickers and one of the cheap ass dudes. I can't remember. Gabriel Davis,
which we talked about. Yeah, we've
exactly
always been high on Gabe Davis. It just worked out last week.
And I think Gabe Davis actually lost ownership because everybody was so high on Zach Moss. So again, I think we're gonna have a similar situation here tonight with Cook and Madison. So I think we'll have some opportunity to find similar value, but let's get on this one. I think we can crush this one again here.
So before we get on, we appreciate if you guys would subscribe. We're close to 500 subscribers. Ellie, what do you think? When we hit 500 subscribers, we should do a giveaway, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I don't have anything in mind yet, but I think that's something we can kind of keep an ear to the ground, see our followers and subs like the idea. Maybe toss some ideas out there.
Yeah, maybe a DraftKings gift card, or I don't know. We'll figure something out. But tell your friends, help get us to 500 subscribers. We appreciate it. Let's just get right into this matchup here. Steelers versus the Vikings. Should be an interesting one, man. Steelers are 6-5-1. The Vikings are 5-7. They lost to the Lions last week, as I said in the opening. But both of these teams are still in the playoff mix. I mean, Vikings right now are one game back from potentially a wild card spot. So, and the Steelers obviously are right in the mix too. So this is a big game. And considering that the Steelers, they played well last week against Lamar, and if it wasn't for TJ Watt getting in Lamar's face there at the end, that 2-point conversion, we might be talking about them being 5-6-1 at this point. But right. They won that game. Big Ben looked pretty good. This is his final year, man. I don't see how he could play another year. I thought he should have retired last year. But he's got 5 game-winning drives this year. And so we all know that he's just not the way the player he used to be. But I think it's trending up a little bit for him. And I think he's in desperate mode at this point. His legacy has taken a little bit of a hit lately. So if he can just pull some magic out of the back of his pocket here and try to lead this team to the playoffs this year, I think it's in his best interest, and I think he can do well in this game. Do you disagree with me on this as far as this particular game? He's $9K, dude.
Yeah, I get the pricing. I think that the 9K makes them a little bit more alluring, but the problem is I think you got to prioritize Najee Harris and Deontay Johnson from the Steelers.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit difficult for me personally to get to Big Ben. And then, here's something to keep in mind. I think that 5-game winning drives from him might be more indicative that the Steelers just are shitty this year.
Yeah, they're always playing
Because
from behind,
I mean, if you think about it, that means the only game that they didn't have a game-winning drive on was the one where they had the game-winning defensive stop on the 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
Right. So stuff to keep in mind, and these haven't necessarily been like massive games. So I think we'll kind of see some of his output when he gets the quarterback. But I don't know, man. He's dust. To me, he's dust. Like I think Cam Newton has a better arm than he does at this point. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, so when it comes to Kirk Cousins on the other side of the ball, he's 6-17 in primetime. He's just not really. He's kind of what is it, Andy Dalton-ish? I mean, maybe Andy Dalton has a worse record, but Kirk Cousins just doesn't play well when the bright lights are on. And I mean, every Vikings loss this year, all 7 games have been by 7 points or less. So they're always playing in tight games. So I personally think when we look at these lines here. The over is 44. I personally think with 2 bad defenses and 2 teams that are really motivated to try to make a playoff push here and pretty decent offenses. I know Big Ben is nothing to write home about, but I personally think this will hit the over big time. And I think that this can be close going into the 4th, which is nice. Minnesota is -177 on the money line, 3.5 point home favorites. And the ownership is going heavily towards Minnesota. So thoughts on this, and do you think that 44-point total is right on, or are you thinking the over like I am?
Yeah, I think the over is more likely to hit. Minnesota's rush defense is just too bad. I think that there's just too many opportunities that opens up. And as much as I hate to say it, I think that opens up a lot of play action, passing options for Ben Roethlisberger. And if you want to get rid of a dusty quarterback or take the rust off of him, there's no easier way than to have an effective run game and to be able to pass off play action. So I really think that's going to be Mike Epps' coaching strategy when he comes into the game tonight. I'm sorry, Omar Epps and Mike Tomlin. But on the other hand, Kirk Cousins has silently been a pretty good quarterback. The team sucks as a whole. So like that's where Minnesota is struggling. They constantly get stuck in these shitty kicking situations. But overall, I think that this has the opportunity to hit the over. I think the Vikings are the correct team to have favorite. But again, this could be a shit show. They're very bad they're very bad defensive teams. The Steelers are inconsistent offensively, and honestly, we have no idea what the hell is going to happen with Minnesota. Not having Adam Thielen on the field could mean, it could mean a huge game for JJ. It could mean that everybody's locked in on him. So I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting.
Patrick Peterson should be straight up guarding Deontay Johnson. Which, I don't think that that's a huge deal. Just worth mentioning, he's coming back from COVID and injuries, so who knows? He's kind of at the back end of his career. As Cardinals fans, we kind of know he's not nearly the same player as he was. Deontay Johnson's going to get 1 million targets. Justin Jefferson's going to get 1 million targets too. Look, he's got 36% of his targets on the team targets go to him. That's second behind Cooper Kupp. He's averaging 100 yards per game this season, Justin Jefferson. And like you said, they could either double down on him and try to take him away. Or I still don't think they can stop him. I just don't think they can stop him. So Justin Jefferson to me is a near lock. He's going to be super high owned. This isn't some bold take, but sometimes high owned players I don't love as much, but I think he's in a smash spot. I think you have to think about going with him. His over under is I think 93.5 yards. So if you're betting on this, that's I like the over on his yards total, receiving yards. When it comes to pass defense, the Steelers are like 23rd and 21st. They're not looking too hot, and the Vikings rush defense is not looking too hot too. What are they, like 26th or something like that in the NFL? I mean, they're not, or 29th. Here's the tweet that you sent me earlier. So when Najee Harris carries the ball at least 16 times, they're 6-0-1, and going against the 29th best rush defense.
I got to interrupt, man. Dude, Mike Tomlin's a great coach, but this shit is so frustrating to me. And I go on these rants and these tangents with the Ravens too. Granted, it's the opposite scenario. I think they should let Lamar just be a quarterback instead of making him come back at the end of a game. But this is insane to me. You clearly have a workhorse running back who can catch the ball 15 to 20 times out of the backfield. And I said catch.
Yeah.
We've seen that before, but you won't feed him. You're relying on the 47-year-old Jolly Green Giant to go out there and throw. Like, he looks like he's shot putting the ball, and you have one of the best young workhorse backs in the league. Sorry, guys, I don't mean to get so fired up about this, but I love running backs, man. I love running games. I love Najee Harris, dudes from Alabama. Got to support him, but run the ball. Feed him tonight. There's absolutely no reason to. I mean, if James Conner and Chase Edmonds can tear up Minnesota, think about what Najee Harris can do.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think they need to get him back the ball. Earlier on, we did a couple Steelers showdown, and we were just locked in on Najee Harris, a captain. I think it's a similar situation tonight. I think he's not going to be nearly as high owned as he should because you have these other sexier guys who can catch the ball. Right. I think people are going to forget about him, and he might be the 4th or 5th highest owned captain, which is criminal to me. I get the Justin Jefferson. I slightly get the Deontay Johnson, but I think that Najee Harris, in my opinion, should be the 2nd highest owned captain. So finding some leverage on that would be pretty nice to do tonight. So let's go over to our injuries. There's not a whole lot to talk about. Obviously, Dalvin Cook has been dealing with a shoulder injury.
Dislocated shoulder.
I
think he tore his rotator, like a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah. So he missed last week, and as usual, Alexander Mattison came in, and they didn't really miss a beat. I mean, I'm not saying Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison are the same talent-wise. We know Dalvin Cook is really good. But this offense just plugged him in. He's a similar type player. But Dalvin Cook should play. He's training towards playing. He's questionable, but I think we all can agree that he's probably going to play tonight. Now, if he does play, that opens up a weird... what do we do with Dalvin Cook? He's the kind of guy that could end up in the blue tent in the first quarter. And do we go super heavy on him? Do we mix in a really expensive Madison? It's going to be hard, man. One thing I will not do tonight is put them in the same lineup together. You just can't afford it. And there's no reason to. I think you can choose one or the other, set a rule to not have more than one. But I don't think you should be necessarily afraid to play Madison. Be above the field if you want, but I'm a little bit more afraid to play Dalvin Cook because of all the injuries he's been going through. I do think he's one of these players that maybe what I'll do is put him at captain more so than in the flex. I don't know. I got to figure that out. When we get to the end of the show, we'll talk about it. But what are your thoughts on Cook and the injury here?
Yeah, I just don't know how you can really play him. The dude's priced up pretty significantly. He's where he should be given he's healthy. But what's a running back supposed to do if they can't lower their shoulder, right? We're talking about a dislocated shoulder, potentially serious, other serious, or I guess minor injuries kind of in that shoulder. I don't know if he's going to have the ability to truck anybody. So he's going to have to rely on his elusiveness. And again, Adam Thielen is out. So you're starting to reduce the dimensions of this offense a little bit to Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson. So I don't know, man. I'm not going to be that high on him. And just the patented line here, we'll continue to keep an eye on ownership. If we start to see the field is really low on Dalvin Cook as well, then I have no problem taking stabs on who is probably one of the better players on the entire field. Yeah. Right. So that's really what's going to dictate what I do here, unless I just see some bullshit, warm up stuff. And he just looks like he's jogging out there and not making it, then I might pull him out. But that's kind of where I'm at as of right now. Yeah,
I hear that for sure. One thing we've talked about recently quite a bit is these pitch counts where these players come back and they're not 100% and they're barely just being able to play. Do they hold them to a certain amount of snaps? That's one thing to keep an eye on today. If you start seeing these Minnesota beat reporters or anybody come out with any information about, he's on a snap count or he might not play every drive. A player that's 10.8K, you need him to get the ball 20 plus times. Running back. So that's just something to really keep an eye on. I'm leery to go heavy on him because I really am tired of these great players just letting me down when like getting injured in the second quarter and not coming back, you know.
And this could be very much like a Taysom Hill type situation, right? Where he's active and ready to go if he's needed. Madison hasn't done an awful job kind of filling in. I mean, he does have the ability to go out there and get the job done. He had 22 carries, 90 yards. I get it was against Detroit, but we've seen him earlier in the season, 25 for 113, 26 for 112. Looks like when he's starting, he's able to get the job done. So it's very possible Dalvin Cook is just there to warm the bench, and if Alexander Madison happens to get hurt, then he come out there.
The question is, are they better off playing a healthy Madison or trying to rush back unhealthy Dalvin Cook? What makes the team better? I don't know. We're going to find out. Adam Thielen is obviously out with an ankle injury. That looked pretty bad. It looked like he was in a lot of pain. So Osborne is going to get a bump, but I think the biggest bump just goes to Jefferson. He gets a ton. He's going to get all the targets. He's hard to stop. Eagles fans, if you guys are watching, sorry about Justin Jefferson. He's one of the best in the league. Eric Ebron is out. So besides that, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Let's just get right into the breakdown. Break it down. All right. So Ellie, let's start with quarterbacks. I'm going to have you take this away. Should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I'm going to be focusing in on Kirk Cousins here. I mean, he has 2 performances under 15 fantasy points this entire season. He's been quietly crushing it, and the reason why nobody cares about him is because he's fucking Kirk Cousins, right? Like, nobody cares about him. So I have no problem getting to him. My only concern at this point is just the loss of Adam Thielen. Just kind of focusing that offense into Justin Jefferson could pose some risks for Kirk Cousins. And then I guess, minorly, I am a little worried about the prime time appearance, but these are professionals. If he can't go out there and get a $74 million guaranteed money, then it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Regardless, even if he has an awful game, there's a good chance he'll still be at 12 to 14 fantasy points, which may be needed at 10.4. Now, I think the big one that you and I may disagree on here is just Ben Roethlisberger. 9K, and at his current projection, I can see what the allure is to kind of get him in to play him. My concern is I just really want Deontay Johnson, and I really want Najee Harris, and I just don't know that we have the value to play both quarterbacks in the same lineup and still be able to get those guys. Exactly, those are the guys that I want the most of. So, when we
here we go. Watch, we'll solve this real quick here. We lost him for a second. Watch this. Disconnect, reconnect. Ellie, you backed out there for a second here. Finish your thought. You don't think we're going to be able to afford Ben Roethlisberger, basically. Check. Ellie, you're muted. Are you muted? Nothing. Yeah, there you go. You're back.
Bro, I don't even understand what happened.
I hear you, dude.
Okay. Well, anyways, so yeah, I just don't know that we're going to be able to afford him while paying up for some of these other players that we want. And he's old. He's dust. I'm not convinced yet.
I'm just going to have to I agree with what you're saying, but a player that's $9,000, he's $800 cheaper than the backup on this team. What are the odds that the quarterback on this team can outscore Alexander Madison? I think that the odds are pretty high. Now that's just it's a mispricing for Madison. I get it. But $9,000, we haven't seen a quarterback at $9,000 maybe since Ben DiNucci at like $8,600 or something. It's been a long time. So I have to really consider that. If he comes out and gets you 16 fantasy points at $9,000, that might be enough. Like if Alexander Madison got you 16 fantasy points, you'd probably be pretty happy, right? So that's just my reasoning behind it. And I know the guy can't do much, but if he comes out and passes for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, that might just be enough for us. I don't know. I agree with what you're saying, but I think if he comes in like 35% ownership, I might have to go jam him in hard, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, if he's under, honestly, I think I would set the mark closer to 25. If he's under 25%, I'll be with the field or slightly over. If he's closer to 40, 45%, then I mean, I guess I'll probably be about 25 to 30%. That's really what I kind of plan to put my ownership projection, personal mark for Ben Roethlisberger.
I mean, look, last week, Jared Goff had 3 touchdowns and almost 300 yards against them. I don't know, man. I think that this defense is just not too impressive. So I think if any game he can do it, it can be this one where he gets you to 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And like I said, there's a narrative aspect to this thing, man. Like, we all know that this is his swan song. This could be his moment to really shine in one of the last primetime performances of his career. You see that number 31st against position. That's why I really want to mess with him today. So running backs, who do you want to start with here?
Let's start with Pittsburgh. It's pretty easy.
Pretty easy.
Actually, I think both sides are pretty easy, to be honest with you. I'm going to play Najee Harris. I don't mind taking random stabs at, like, Benny Snell, I guess, if we need $1,000 player. We just need to see who's active. We have no idea who the backup running back will be. But either way, they're probably not going to get a whole bunch of love. I'm going to have as much Najee Harris as I possibly can.
There's just not enough volume. We talked about this before in previous Steelers Showdown shows. There's not enough volume going to these backup running backs. A lot of teams, you can rely on the running backs to get 20, 30% of the snaps. I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think this guy Najee Harris is on the field all the time. He's young. He's a rookie. They're going to use him up. He's got fresh legs. I really think that, look at these. Earlier in the year, he was more impressive, or middle of the year, he was getting 23, 24, 26. If he can get back up over that 20 attempts, there's no reason why you shouldn't have it. I might have him in a majority of my captain lineups, and he'll be in the flex. I might just have 100% of them. I have 190 lineups already reserved for tonight. He might be in 189 of them, and I'm just not scared. I'm really not scared. I might only have like 1 or 2 of each of these guys. Maybe I like Balaj a little bit more, just because he's $200, but no reason to talk much about these guys. So let's go to the other side. This should be also pretty easy. Dalvin Cook is 10.8K. Alexander Madison is 9,800. CJ Ham 600. Not going to get any CJ Ham, especially if Dalvin Cook plays. I think the key here is just don't play these guys together. I mean, I don't know who would.
Right.
I'm all about. We talk about this every single show. Oh, you can handcuff the running backs. It's all good. Yeah, put one in captain, put one in the flex. Oh, that sounds awesome. Let's do it. Not tonight. Not those prices. And even if they were priced down, I still probably wouldn't do it. It's just, even in a vacuum, just generally speaking, I don't want to have both of them together because I feel like one of them is going to get the hot hand. I just don't know who it is. So I'm leaning more towards Dalvin Cook because I think this is desperate times for Minnesota, and they might not have another opportunity after this week to make the playoffs. So maybe they just say, Dalvin, the ball is yours. Do what you got to do. Any other thoughts behind that? I know we talked a little bit about this in the opening.
Yeah, just keep an eye on Noose. I really think there's potential. Dalvin Cook is just a bench warmer today, emergency use. If that's the case, I don't mind taking a couple stabs on Madison. But again, to your point, I think this would be one of those unique scenarios where you're just like, well, Dalvin Cook's out. I should go to Madison, but this might be an opportunity to take the $800 savings and then go to Ben. That's where I would probably prefer him in a scenario like that. But other than that, like, Dalvin Cook's fine. He's obviously one of the top 3-4 running backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
If he's active, you're gonna be missing out if you don't have at least a couple lineups with exposure to him. I like your point earlier about throwing him in a captain and then kind of just building that way. That way, if he goes off, you're taken care of. But if he doesn't pay off the tag, you can fade him in all your other lineups.
Look, last week, the Steelers gave up 25 carries, 107 yards, and 4 yards per carry to the Ravens. So just something to think about. So wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, 11K. KJ Osborne gets a bump because Adam Thielen's out. D.D. Westbrook, 2,200, and some other dudes I don't really care about. Let's start at the bottom here. Any interest in Westbrook, Chisenya, and ISM?
I don't have ISM. I do have Chisenya. I don't think I give a shit about him. He sounds like a fighter from Chechnya. DD Westbrook, though, I do have some interest in. I don't know how much exposure he's going to get. This guy he was literally drafted to be a big play receiver. I think it was the Jacksonville Jaguars who brought him in. I understand that he's not getting much love. He's not getting much volume, but this is a guy I don't mind taking flyers on. He's a guy who could touch the ball once or twice and take it to the house. We watched him. I think he actually played with Kyler, didn't he? In Oklahoma, Kyler Murray.
I don't know. Did he?
Yeah. It might have been Jalen Hurts, but he was in Oklahoma. Went to Oklahoma for a while. I think it might be Kyler. Anyways, it's neither here nor there. But DD Westbrook has big play upside, so I don't mind getting some exposure to him. And right now, 2,200 might be the value that we kind of need. I'm not sure that we have too much other value that I'm comfortable with at this point.
Yeah. KJ Osborne at 5,600. Some big shoes to fill, but we've seen him go off. We saw him go off against the Cardinals. He's had these big games. You see a lot of green spread out with a lot of red. This is a good captain option, in my opinion. And then sprinkle him in the flex. I mean, he's going to be under 30% owned. He'll probably be like 1% owned in the captain. This is one of these guys that can get you 2 touchdowns and 100 yards. Or he can get you 1 catch, you know? So it's a little risky. But now that he's actually the true number 2, right. You might see a lot more volume from him, and all those performances was him as the number 3. So this is a boost for him. We just haven't really seen him in this role enough to really judge it. And then Justin Jefferson, 11K. This is the same. This is exactly the same with Najee Harris to me. If Justin Jefferson fails tonight, then so be it. I'll move on to Sunday Night Football. But I might have 189 lineups with Justin Jefferson in them. My core will be Najee Harris, Jefferson, and a lot of Deontay Johnson, and I'll figure it out from there. But 11K is expensive, but you just got to prioritize him, don't you think?
Yeah, play Justin Jefferson.
Yep, that's our analysis.
I don't have any more analysis for that. I do want to go back to KJ Osborne for one more second. He becomes a little bit more interesting of a play to me simply because he is priced up as though Thielen is out. If this was a slate without Thielen, same with DD Westbrook. They're both priced up like Thielen is out. If Thielen wasn't playing, they'd be much, much lower priced, which is going to impact their ownership. Yeah, especially KJ Osborne. Right now, if he's projected for less than 30%, I'll be even with the field, possibly more. He's priced nicely enough that this is where you start getting into that range of, do I want to spend down a little bit and just play a kicker or whatever? And I think KJ Osborne has a little bit higher upside than a lot of these other guys. And again, Justin Jefferson's Justin Jefferson playing.
14 targets, 11 receptions, 182 yards last week and a touchdown. On the season, 6.5 receptions per game, 100 yards per game, and 7 touchdowns. His prop, his receiving over/under is at 93.5. That's huge, but I think he can hit it. I would bet the over on that for sure.
All right, he's been crushing all year.
I agree. All right, so Minnesota now. Pittsburgh. Justin Jefferson, play him again. That's how much we want to play him. We're talking about him twice. Deontay Johnson, 10.2K. Chase Claypool, 7,400. James Washington, 5K. Ray McCloud. Let's start at the bottom again. I think Ray McCloud is a better option than James Washington at this point. James Washington seems to have been phased out of the offense for whatever reason, but he does have that upside. But at 5K, I don't think he should be that price. He should be much lower. Chase Claypool, on the other hand, he's your big play guy. He is definitely a captain option. I like playing him at captain. He's 21.7 yards per catch over the last 3 games. He's a big play guy. His receiving prop is 52.5. He can hit that in 3 catches or 2 catches even. So captain option for sure. I like him a lot because I think obviously his price is nice. He's boom or bust for sure, but 25 to 30% ownership, that's way too low for him. Deontay Johnson is going to be very popular. He's going to be the second highest owned captain. But you're looking at a guy that can get you like 25 targets. I mean, this guy can absolutely go off. He's like Cooper Kupp. So thoughts on Johnson, man? Like, our core has to be Harris, Johnson, and Jefferson.
I just got to plug myself a little bit here. My season long, I have Justin Jefferson in one league, and then I have Deontay Johnson in the other league. So I love both these guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, Deontay Johnson's just he's in a prime spot. He's getting 11, 12, 13 targets every single game. And he's going to look like he's just getting middling performances through half the game, and then he ends up with a touchdown or two. A dude's going to put up some points. Yeah. The dude's going to put up some points. He's going to get his. You just got to play him. Yeah, I think the real question that we really need to be looking at here is, do we even want any of these other wide receivers? Chase Claypool, I think, is the only guy that's going to be in my actual player pool. I don't know that I'm going to actually get any James Washington or Ray McLeod. The only reason why I'm going to get McLeod is because, if I decide I want to be fucking weird or whatever and double dip on defense, special teams, and then have him get, maybe he gets a return touchdown. That might be the only reason that I have Ray. But the way that the price is set up here, I have no reason to not play Deontay Johnson. And if I decide I don't want to play him, there should be enough savings by dropping down to Claypool that I don't need to touch any of these other guys. So Deontay, Claypool, those are the guys I'm looking at. Everybody else can fuck off.
So one thing to talk about here is everybody hates James Washington in this game. Mm-hmm. He's going to be under 5% owned. So in saying that, you might sprinkle him in a little bit more because he's been proven that he is a pretty good player. He's definitely being phased out. Last week he only got 37% of the snaps and only ran 11 routes. But a guy that's priced up, no one's going to want to play him. If he catches a touchdown in this game, he's going to be one of the lowest owned guys that I would be comfortable with getting volume. So that's just something to bring up. And if you get 10% of him, you're going to be double or triple the field. All right, so tight ends here. So Eric Ebron's out. Pat Freiermuth is in 6,600. Zach Gentry is 2,600. Ellie, talk to me about your tight ends here. I'm going to have you take over this whole segment.
Yeah, I don't mind Patty. I think he's in for a decent opportunity here. He's fitting his way into the offense, so I don't mind taking some steps at him. Again, the way the tight ends have been playing on these showdown slates, I also don't mind if you want to throw him in captain in a lineup or two. You're going to need some kind of savings if you want to start jamming in some of these higher price players. If you want both quarterbacks, you might have to do something like that. Other than that, I don't think I'm going to be looking too much at these other guys. Alvin Gentry, he hasn't been the same since he got fired from the Suns. So I just don't know how he's playing tight end for the Steelers at this point. But no, in all seriousness, man, these guys aren't priced where I need them to be. 2,600 is not something that I'm going to be taking a flyer out on them. Eric Ebron was 2,600, and I'd be all over it. And I'd lose all my goddamn money.
I know,
but I just can't do it with Zach here at 2,600. Kevin Rader, I'm not even sure if you have him on yours, but I'm just not even looking at these guys. There's no interest beyond Pat Freiermuth.
All right, so let's go to the other side here. We're looking at Tyler Conklin, 6,200. Chris Herndon, 2K. Luke Stalker, 2K.
Chris Herndon, 200.
200. Yes, if he was 2K, he wouldn't be my player pool. I do like Chris Herndon at $200 though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how much he's going to get involved in the offense, but again, with Adam Thielen being out, we may see some opportunities that we wouldn't necessarily see. Chris Herndon was traded for a reason. He used to be on the Jets, remember, mid-season.
And he was the number one guy. He was the future tight end, and it just didn't work out for him. So his potential's there. He is a good player. We just haven't really seen him be able to flourish in any system.
Exactly. And then again, I think the other guy that I'm really actually kind of interested here is Tyler Conklin at 6,200. It's not terrible. Adam Thielen is out, and it doesn't look like they bumped Conklin's price for that. Last week we saw 9 targets and 7 receptions. I know that that's not necessarily what we're going to be expecting today, but at 6,200, if any of the love comes off of Deontay, Najee, or Justin Jefferson, right, then we're going to need a guy like this that can get 12, 13, 14 fantasy points at the 6,200 price tag. So I don't hate him. He's not going to be owned. So I don't mind getting a couple stabs on Conklin. And then just as a pure punt play, you can throw in a lineup or two at Chris Herndon.
Absolutely. And look out for our T-shirts coming soon. I don't hate that T-shirts, right? All right. So kickers.
No. Chris Boswell, man, I don't mind him at 3,800, but this will probably be the death of me. I just refuse to play Vikings kickers. I just can't do it. All I can think of is just all of these missed field goals.
Blair Walsh.
Yeah. Well, bro, or week 3 against the Cardinals or whatever it was.
Yeah, like, they should have that win, yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They will always lose a game because their kickers suck.
And spoiler alert, I think the Steelers win this game by 3. It hits the over, and I think the Minnesota kicker misses it to lose it with 0 seconds left. There you go.
Bro, can I bet on that? Like, is that a scenario I can bet on DraftKings? I'm going to go look after this.
You should. Yeah, losing method. Kickers missing with 0 seconds left. Defense. What do you think about defense here? Vikings 4,400, Steelers 4,200. They're both in play, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that we've been talking about the over this whole game, but let's just start with the Steelers. The Steelers are, and obviously they got one of the Watt brothers there, and we know what he's going to do. So like they have a pretty good defensive line. They have opportunities for sacks.
They lead the league in sacks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's about what you need to know. If they end up with 5-6 sacks this game, which is very possible. I mean, what did you have? I think you had something written down.
Oh yeah, so let's bring this up real quick. So the Vikings offensive line, they've only allowed 18 sacks this season, which is tied for 3rd best. But one of their players, their offensive lineman. So where's the guy here? So Christian Darrisaw, left tackle's out. Vikings are going to be starting the third or basically the same line that they did last week against the Lions, and they gave up 3 sacks and 8 quarterback hits. So
to the Lions.
So
right.
This team was really good with their best left tackle. He's out. Now they're shuffling guys around. They're changing 3 different players on the line. They're moving people around because they're kind of desperate. So that to me that means going up against the Steelers, the best sack team in the league. They might have some trouble, and that could really hurt Kirk Cousins. It could hurt this team. I think that you can absolutely play the Steelers defense quite a bit more than you would the Vikings, but I don't mind either one of these guys because you do have Big Ben back there.
Yeah, I honestly think both quarterbacks are in a position to at least have fumbles. But you could easily see some pick sixes in a game like this. I mean, and to your point with the Steelers defense, Cousins has not been good in primetime games. I think he's had maybe one memorable performance. So if he ends up throwing for 150 yards, that could easily be a script where he ends up throwing 2-3 interceptions with a fumble. So we're not too far removed from Kirk Cousins also being one of the top turnover quarterbacks in the league as well. So
yeah,
I'm with you, man. I think both defenses are in play. I'm not saying that you guys need to go and build your core with the defense. I'm just saying if you don't mind a flyer, you want to throw in Dalvin Cook, fuck it, Alexander Mattison, the Vikings defense, like may not be an awful decision.
All right, fade of the night. No! Big Ben for you. We talked about both of these already. I don't want to put running backs from the same team together. Like I usually love doing that, but in this case, the Vikings, I don't want to do that this week, and especially I don't really want to do that necessarily with the Steelers because they just don't get enough volume. And your Big Ben is dust. That's your quote. We should do a T-shirt for that too. But at 9K, even at 9K, you just might not be able to afford them with our 3 core guys that we want to fit in. They're all too expensive, right?
Yeah, I mean that summed it up. I think I talked enough shit about Big Ben this whole show. Again, just reminder that this opinion probably will change as we get closer to lock. Right now, it's just hard to build without him or with him in the lineup. So as we kind of see some other news, if we see people are hurt, then I'll probably be able to free up some salary somehow.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Our favorite captain choice. We're not going to get too crazy this time. We're not going to find these weird 5% owned guys. Go with the best. Justin Jefferson, Najee Harris. Both of us, we both are in agreement of this. Out of my lineups, I'm probably going to have 80% of these guys combined, and then spread out some other, Chase Claypools or random type guys like that. Some tight ends maybe. Don't get too fancy. I think the volume is there, and when we're talking showdown, you got to kind of concentrate on where the opportunities go, and both of these guys are going to have the most opportunities in the game, right?
Yeah, man. I don't even have anything to add. These are two of the obvious captain plays. The only one that I really think that we might need to consider outside these two is Chase Claypool, just because of his big play upside and his pricing. I think to your point, that's going to be the other guy that I'll have sprinkled in there. But this is a perfect game to kind of split your captains and have one Viking and have one Steeler, right? We don't necessarily want to have just one or the other, because one of these guys is probably going to go off. So I don't know, man. I want to split down the middle. I think we're going to have pretty much the same building. Their price pretty similar. So you might just be able to rotate the same lineups with them at captain.
Well, let's do that now. And also don't forget Deontay Johnson is also a really good option. He'll be the second highest on captain. I don't think you have to get too crazy when it comes to being different at captain, because these two teams just focus their offense on certain players. So we're going to move on to a lineup build. Once again, guys, if you're skipping around to the lineup build, we're trying to hit 500 subscribers. We're going to give something away at 500 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button. 80% of our views come from non-subscribers. So help the channel grow. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out. It helps us be able to make more shows and do more research and put the time into these shows. All right, so let's go. Let's just hit optimize and see what happens. JJ, Herndon, Boswell, Big Ben,
I'd play this lineup.
Najee, and hey, you had me at Herndon.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like is that no Kirk Cousins. I see this is one of those scenarios we're running into. No Kirk Cousins. I think I'd rather have Kirk than Ben. If
All right, let's do this then. Hang on, actually, before I put in Kirk, let's put our core here. So Najee and probably Deontay Johnson, right? Let's just start with this and see what we have to do to fit a quarterback in. Let's put in Kirk Cousins and see how screwed we are. Immediately screwed. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. Man, yeah, Chris Herndon is like the only guy I'd consider down there. Yeah. The 2,700 that gets us Zach Gentry. I mean, you're punting twice. It's just, I don't like that. The odds of both of these low-owned players hitting are super low.
D.D.
Westbrook too. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Same thing. But so that's why it's going to be hard to get Cousins in here, which is unfortunate. So I'd rather take Deontay Johnson out of this scenario for now, and try to get Cousins in. So what does that leave us now? Do we want to go with Claypool? Do we want to go with the Osborne? Where do we go from here?
Let's go Claypool.
All right, Claypool. Let's see, 5,700 for 2 spots. Where do we go from here, man? Freiermuth. Oh no, we can't do Freiermuth. Never mind. You could do. Yeah, you'd have to go to defenses or kickers.
So
there's not a lot of value here, man.
All right, so if we put in Chris Herndon, that gives us 5,500. We're going to plan a lot of Chris Herndon, huh? Then we have to go up to James Washington.
Yeah, I mean, so there's really no reason to you don't have to get Chris Herndon, because at worst you get a Vikings defense, which leaves 1,100 on the table. So you could go up to Benny Snell or Ngongwu, which I don't really care too much about because both running backs are healthy. I don't know, man. We might have to go away from either Claypool or Cousins, or you go down to Big Ben.
Here, okay, let's throw in Pat Freiermuth instead of Claypool.
Okay. Freiermuth saves you about what, $1,500 or $1,100 or whatever.
Can you throw in D.D.? Let's see where we're at after that.
D.D. Westbrook, 4,300.
God damn it! Now you got to play Greg Joseph or Steelers defense.
Okay, let's. I like Justin Jefferson here, but we're seeing the problem here. With you can't really have Harris and Kirk Cousins in your lineup, or you're kind of screwed. You almost have to punt at 3 positions.
So how about this, man? You want to try? Let's try fading Kirk Cousins. Let's go Ben Roethlisberger. I really don't feel comfortable taking Najee Harris out.
I don't either. No, I don't either. I mean, I really want Deontay Johnson too. So look, this might be a situation where we got to go down to Claypool to get all these guys that we want. But let's at captain, Claypool at captain. So let's just see. Let's see how screwed we are. We're definitely screwed again if we go this route, 4,300. If we punt with punt with Herndon, and we're using Herndon as an example, but you could play any of these guys. 4,100. That gives us kickers, Ray McLeod, Gentry. Can't quite get defenses.
I don't mind playing Greg Joseph in this lineup, just because we're fading Kirk Cousins, right?
Yeah.
You're going to need to capture some of that output. I still hate it playing him, but I don't mind running it. Okay, how about this, bro? Let's throw in.
Bro, Najee Harris is $1,500 cheaper in the captain.
Let's throw him in a captain.
Let's just see how much easier this is. This might be easier to build with. So
let's throw in JJ,
and let's try to fit Deontay in right off the bat. Okay, so let's go Kirk. That leaves us with 3,400. It's a little bit more. And then if we go down to our cheap guy, our punt, that gets us Ray McLeod. I mean, you're punting twice again. So you just can't play Kirk Cousins here. Let's just see. Let's see if we get Ben Roethlisberger, what that gets us. 4,800. Now let's go down to our cheap guy, 200. That at least gets us like Vikings defense or Steelers defense or the kickers. So you're trading Ben Roethlisberger in. You're getting rid of Kirk Cousins, and that buys you a little bit better options. But you're basically taking the lesser quarterback just so you can get a kicker instead of a Ray McLeod. I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to play. Nobody's going to play these three guys. They're just not going to do it. It's just too hard to build like that. If you pop the optimizer, it's not going to. These guys aren't going to end up in a lineup together with one of them a captain. I just don't think it's going to happen.
All right, let's do something kind of crazy here. I know that we haven't gotten too deep into some of these builds. We already know it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Let's throw in Tyler Conklin at captain.
Okay.
I love Claypool, but I don't know if we need Claypool and Deontay Johnson in the same lineup, and I want Deontay Johnson.
Where the hell's Conklin? There he is. All right.
Now let's go Kirk. Let's go Deontay. Let's go Najee. Let's go Justin Jefferson.
Yep. Nope.
No, so we won't do that.
Okay, so no Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, so throw in Ben.
Well, let's get Deontay. Yeah, we can get Ben. And then we got it. And then we punt.
Chris Herndon.
And then Chris Herndon. All right. I mean, this is cray-cray, but, let me save that real quick. Hey, hey, look, and I just am super comfortable with getting these three core guys in every lineup. I just want to do that. I don't want to eliminate any of them.
And nobody's going to be able to do that. We see that, right? So not going to have those kinds of builds.
Let's see. Let me look at. I mean, that's kind of the lowest I would go. Well, what about KJ Osborne? Let's do KJ Osborne.
I'm down.
Yeah, I actually like KJ Osborne as a captain option a little bit more than Conklin. So let's do our core here. And we haven't even talked about Dalvin Cook yet. That's the funny thing. Imagine if Dalvin Cook was 100% and us trying to fit him in. That would be impossible.
Yeah.
JJ, Deontay, 10.4K for 2 spots. That's pretty nice. We could go Big Ben. That leaves us 1,400. What does that get us? Benny Snell. What if we go no quarterbacks here? What does that get us? That gets us like a. You could do a. No, you couldn't do that. You could do an Alexander Madison and then punt in the last spot, or you could go down to a Freiermuth and then get a kicker, a Boswell. You could do Conklin as well, and that gets you Steelers defense or a kicker. This is I don't know, man. This is gonna be tough.
All right, so let me do one more. Fade Deontay, throw in Claypool.
Okay.
Leave Jefferson and throw in Claypool.
If I had to fade one guy, it would be Deontay out of those three.
Honestly, man, I think it might have to be Najee. The problem is this is such a good matchup for Najee Harris that I don't want to do that.
I don't either.
All right, can you throw in? Let's throw in Kirk. Yeah.
2,800. Zach Gentry, D.D. Westbrook.
Dede.
Yeah, Dede
Because
Westbrook.
we got Kirk in there, so I don't mind this.
So
this is scary as fuck.
This is scary, man. So here's the thing that we're gonna have to do tonight. We're gonna have to either focus on finding a low or middle range priced captain and jamming in all the studs. I think that might be a pretty good strategy tonight. Or if you just really think that Najee Harris or Justin Jefferson are just going to be by far the highest scoring players, you're just probably going to have to get him at captain and find ways to get different in the flex. And maybe what you do is create a rule that you have one of these 3 or 4 guys in every one of your lineups and let the optimizer figure it out. I don't know that I'm going to be doing a whole lot of hand building tonight because this is a little bit too hard to figure out. I might just rely on randomness and a bunch of rules and let it go from there, right? But what's going to be your strategy tonight, you think, when it comes to building?
I don't know. NBA locks at 7:30, and that's kind of my better sport. So
Yeah.
I'll probably end up hand building a bunch of lineups for this show tonight.
All right, so low owned guy that can score and final score prediction.
Dede Westbrook.
I'm going with Herndon.
I'm with you on those. Dede Westbrook and Chris Herndon both in prime spots. Final score, I'm going to go 27-21 Minnesota.
35-34 Steelers.
Jesus.
Vikings lose with 0 seconds left and a missed field goal. All right, guys. Subscribe, join the Discord, hit us up on Twitter. We appreciate it, and we'll see you later.